This was a prison without walls. In theory, inmates could run off right under the guards' noses, but not a single one had ever made it out. Not long ago, the main character, Jack, planned one last bachelor party before getting married. He had already picked the perfect spot, far across the ocean in South America. Not only were the views stunning, but more importantly, marijuana was legal there. Jack and his closest friends partied for 7 straight days and nights. Once they'd had their fill, they prepared to head back to the UK. But none of them expected what would go wrong on the way home. While waiting at the airport, Jack noticed that his buddy Ryan had secretly stashed a small bag of weed in his pocket, planning to smuggle it back to the UK. Jack freaked out. What was Ryan thinking? Did he really think he could fool airport security like that? That was basically asking to be arrested for drug trafficking. But Ryan kept his cool. Without a word, he casually strolled up to the security checkpoint, passing right in front of the officers. The rest of the group was sweating bullets, scared out of their minds. But strangely, Ryan's cocky attitude seemed to work. After a routine scan with the detector, the security team let him pass. The group was stunned. Turns out the guy really had nerves of steel.
Hey!
Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Then, one of the airport staff returned Ryan's wallet, which he had dropped. Just as they were relaxing, their friend Greg suddenly doubled over in pain, clutching his stomach. Then he began foaming at the mouth. At the same time, a sniffer dog nearby went wild. Before they could react, the whole group was dragged into an interrogation room. It turned out Greg had swallowed a balloon filled with drugs, trying to smuggle it internally. But the balloon had burst in his stomach, causing a toxic reaction. And that wasn't even the worst part. Moments later, a group of men dressed like law enforcement stormed in and began frisking everyone. They found Ryan's bag of weed and immediately labeled them as drug traffickers. The group had no way to explain themselves and were sent to a remote island prison far from the mainland. At the entrance to the island, armed guards stood watch. Against the backdrop of the ocean, the entire island looked dark and ominous. Their nightmare of prison life had just begun.